Playing through the entire Aether storyline in Call of Duty Zombies has brought us to the penultimate map in World at War, Shi No Numa. Now, Shi No Numa is generally considered to be the official start of the Aether storyline, and as a result of this, we have a lot of information to cover just so that we can be fully prepared for the journey to come. So, without further ado, let's get it. Oh, baby! This is it. Oh, we're back. Guys, let me just start off by apologizing for the massive gap between uploads. I do apologize. We're good now. Things are good, and we're back, and the uploads will resume and continue. So that's going to be pretty sick. We are here right now on the map Shi No Numa. I think this is more of an underrated map. I think it's a little bit underrated because Nocturne Toten kind of takes a lot of the... Dude, are you serious? Brother, what is going on? Okay. Because Noct kind of takes a lot of the spotlight because it was the first map. Oh, now you want to go down. Nice, nice. Everybody loves it. It's iconic. It's made reappearances in several different iterations of zombies throughout time, which is super cool. Verrucht is an abomination on mankind. This map holds the world record, if you didn't know, fun little fact, for the world record for the highest round ever. So, Shi No Numa, aka the Rising Sun Facility. If you remember, the previous map was called Verrucht, and that was the map that took place in a German insane asylum. Only a couple of key things really happened in that map, storyline-wise. We had, if you remember the names, we had Peter McCain. He was a U.S. informant who infiltrated Group 935 in an attempt to get inside information. He needed to, he did confirm that there was Element 115, zombies, super sketchy stuff going on, and his commander was like, yo, get out of there. Rendezvous at the Rising Sun facility, which is where we're at. But of course, before the commanding officer could tell his extraction team not to bother going and rescuing Pete, he sent in 4 Marines, and one of those Marines was named Tank Dempsey. Tank Dempsey, if you recall, he actually was captured by Group 935 and taken to their headquarters. In those headquarters, he began being experimented on. And now you may be wondering, what happened to Peter McCain? Did he... Since he didn't need the extraction team because he got out on his own, did he make it to the Rising Sun facility? And if so, will we run into him? Because this is the Rising Sun facility that we're at. And he did make it in one piece. Peter, say hi to everybody.
Say hi to Diesel.
Yes, that is Peter. Unfortunately, he did not survive his landing. He's been chilling up there for a while. So it's kind of a shame because he did make it out and the extraction team didn't even need to go in there to begin with, but then Peter McCain died anyways. And as a result of the extraction team, Smokey, Bandit, and Gunner died, and then Tank got captured. So it's like, ugh. This is why you communicate, people. Always communicate. So how did we go from Verrucht to Shi No Numa? How did we go from the crazy, insane German insane asylum to this Japanese 935 base of operations? Well, that's actually what we're going to be covering most of today. This video has a whole lot of backstory that we need to know and understand in order to be aware of what's happening. So everything I'm about to say takes place before we even arrive on this map. Just keep that in mind. So I think it'd be good to start with some good character introductions. I'm sure you've probably heard that there are some voice lines. And if you can't hear that, I'm amazed because he's shouting it in my ear, that's for sure. Who are we playing as right now? Who will we be playing as in the future? And where did these characters even come from? First off, we can start with Tank Dempsey. We know who he is, we've been introduced to him, and we're actually playing as Tank Dempsey right now. He's the dude screaming that he needs ammo every 5 seconds. The next character that we can introduce ourselves to is a Japanese warrior named Takeo Masaki. He was a very dedicated and loyal warrior for the Japanese emperor, and the emperor actually sent him to investigate the presence of 115. He did indeed confirm that there are zombies present. Sadly, he actually dishonored the emperor in this process, or the emperor felt dishonored. And so the emperor actually... I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing. It's just like super douchey. The emperor actually purposely gets Takeo captured and like sends him in to get captured by Group 935 as punishment for dishonoring the Emperor. And Takeo is like super traumatized by this because he's like, he was super loyal, and then he let his boss down, and he's super sad about it. Oh my god. Run. Oh no, excuse me. I should probably get out of... Why am I still in the spawn room? Like, what am I doing? Okay, just forget about that. We're just gonna restart, okay? Another member that we're going to be introducing ourselves to is named Nikolai Belinsky. Nikolai is a Russian soldier, and he was captured during the Battle of Stalingrad. He's a perpetual drunk on vodka, but the reason why he's drinking vodka is because his wife actually died, and he's super sad about that. I mean, as one would be. And then he gets captured, and then he gets experimented on by Group 935 as well. So there you have it. You have 3 of the 4 main characters. Tank, Takeo, and Nikolai are being held at the German headquarter facility, and they're being experimented on. And the person who's running these experiments is a German individual who is arguably... Actually, I wouldn't even say arguably. He's like very well known to be the most important character. His name is Edward Richtofen. He was a former member of the Illuminati, and he was a leading member of Group 935, along with Dr. Ludwig Maxis, if you remember him from last video. So Richtofen and Maxis, they just kind of spend their days experimenting on test subjects and creating technologies, creating all sorts of fancy things like teleporters, wonder weapons. That was just the best aim I've ever had. So some additional background information on Richtofen. He's been with Group 935 for a while. It's not like he just got signed on as, some intern and then takes over. No, he's been there for a while. When Maxis and Richtofen were working with these teleporters that they created, again using element 115, Richtofen actually got sent by accident to the moon. And when he was on the moon, he stumbled across this ancient device. I don't know why I'm making this like a spawn room challenge to get through the storyline. I'm just being dumb with how I'm going about this. But it feels like I am. I don't know, I feel comfortable up here while I'm getting this backstory over, you know what I mean? So while Richtofen is on the moon, he stumbles across this ancient device that looks like a pyramid. It's like this pyramid moon device. As a matter of fact, it's called a moon pyramid device. Real original, am I right? So while Richtofen is experimenting with, tampering with, and kind of dicking around with this MPD, the moon pyramid device, he actually gets corrupt because this MPD is an apothecon device. And if you recall, apothecons are bad guys, keepers are good guys. So this apothecon device corrupts Richtofen, basically sends him completely insane, and he gets visions of Agartha, which, if you recall once again, is basically like heaven. He gets corrupt, and he starts hearing the voices of the apothecons, and then he gets teleported back to Earth. So fast forward a little bit more, and Richtofen is still being driven mad, and he starts writing down his visions, his thoughts, his obsessions with finding Agartha in his little diary, which actually makes perfect sense because great scientific minds throughout history kept logs of their work. Einstein had a log. Isaac Newton had a log. Old philosophers and scientists, that's a thing, which is pretty cool. So his diary, it contains all sorts of information on the moon pyramid device, everything he saw and everything he learned while he was there, and then the voices that he hears in his head. So again, fast forward through a little bit of time, Richtofen is mad, and Dempsey, Takeo, and Nikolai this whole time are currently still being experimented on. They're just getting tortured and experimented on for just such a long time, and it's awful. And they actually get experimented on for so long and so brutally that their minds become broken, and they just basically become shells of the people that they once were. Their minds are so broken, it gets so bad that they have no recollection or no memory of who they are, how they got there, what their purpose is. They just have basic, very, very basic intuitions, like how to fight still, how to talk, and then they know who each other are because they've been stuck with each other for so long. So as time goes on, and keeping in mind, this is all still before Shi No Numa. So we're still just getting through the background information of Shi No Numa. Just keep that in mind. So as time goes on, Richtofen and Maxis are creating weapons, they're creating technology, they're trying to control the zombies and utilize them as best they can, all while experimenting on Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takio. Eventually, Maxis and Richtofen's visions for how to use Element 115 start to part ways. Richtofen wants to use Element 115 to create super weapons for the German army and for his own cause and to find Agartha. And Maxis wants to try to really invest his efforts into how to control the zombies, again, for the German army. They really start to butt heads and they really start to hate each other. So before their visions start to separate, I forgot about this part. Richtofen does an experiment on Dempsey, Takio, and Nikolai, as well as himself. And basically what ends up happening is he binds their souls, the four of their souls together, and suddenly their souls are now linked across space, across time, across dimensions, across everything you can possibly fathom. The four of them now have a connection together. So the four of them having this extreme bond through space and time and reality and things like that actually introduces us to their group name, and their group name is called Ultimis. So just keep that in mind as well. That's a very important little tidbit. Oh, almost got my tidbit whacked. Now, there were a couple pieces of technology that were used by Richtofen to bind their souls together. We will talk about those pieces of technology as we come across them, because again, the main theme of this series is to be a basic layman walkthrough of the storyline. So yeah, I forgot about that part, and if I had gotten this gun like 5 minutes from now, it would be a perfect segue. Ignore what you see for now. So over time, Richtofen and Maxis, they started to really butt heads about how to go about using Element 115. Keeping in mind that Richtofen was insane this whole time, after being, growing obsessed with the Agarthan device, the Moon Pyramid device. Man, I'm spoiling it. No, I have to use this thing early. Oh, no. All right, whatever. Let me just get this out of the way. So the gun that I'm using right now, it's called the Wunderwaffe. Now, the Wunderwaffe is a weapon that was created by Richtofen, and this gun actually comes into play later on in the storyline, but we'll get to that. Okay, sorry, I got a little bit distracted. I should probably, get better equipped. Uh-oh. 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 No! Please. God, that was close. All right. I think I'm actually pretty set up. I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. This is a pretty easy map. Famous last words, probably, so that's going to be real nice. Yep, famous last words. Famous last words. Oh, no. Die, bro. So these dogs, oh my God, that was so chaotic. Anyways, so one day, Richtofen, he was getting really pissed off at Maxis because they were butting heads about how to use 115 technology. He actually develops a plan to kill Maxis. So they were working with teleporters one day. Maxis's daughter, her name was Samantha, and Samantha had a dog named Fluffy. So you have Maxis, Samantha Maxis, and Fluffy Maxis. That's the dog's name. So what Richtofen does is he lures Fluffy the dog into the teleporter, knowing that Samantha would run after her dog, and then subsequently knowing that Maxis would run after his daughter, right? It makes sense. However, what doesn't make sense is why Maxis is keeping his daughter around. Like, this is military time with crazy ass shit going on, and you just keep your daughter chilling. Like, what are you doing, bud? we don't talk about that. Richtofen lures the dog into the teleporter. He activates it, sending Fluffy the dog into absolute oblivion, killing Fluffy. Samantha runs into the teleporter after Fluffy, sending Samantha into oblivion, killing her. Maxis runs into the teleporter. You see where this is going, right? However, none of that went as Richtofen thought. He did not send them into oblivion, and he did not kill any of them. Instead, ooh, speak of the devil, would you? Look at that! Instead, Fluffy the dog gets turned into hellhounds, which are these mutant demon-possessed dogs. Literally, these dogs... I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Maxis gets teleported to this place called the Crazy Place, and the Crazy Place is essentially, think of it as a state of electricity, and we will be visiting the Crazy Place later on in the series as well, so stay tuned for that. Now, Samantha. Samantha is arguably just as, if not more important to the entire Aether storyline as Edward Richtofen is. They're kind of like co-leads in this whole saga. She actually gets teleported to the moon, and while she's on the moon, she actually runs into and interacts with that moon pyramid device that I had talked about earlier. Now, I should probably say that all of this takes place before Shi No Numa, and a lot of time passes as well. That's what this whole thing is about. That's why there's so much to cover. I should also say before I continue that the time between Richtofen first got sent to the moon and the time that Samantha has been sent to the moon just now, the Germans have already established a moon base. It's called Griffin Station. And the moon base, it's very, it's futuristic, and its primary purpose is to study the MPD. And again, a lot of time has passed between Verrucht and Shi No Numa. Like, a lot of time. That's literally the information that we're going over right now. Just a quick little refresher if you forgot about that or are wondering how that's possible. So Samantha gets teleported to the moon base, Griffin Station, and while running around frightened, scared out of her mind, she actually runs into the moon pyramid device as it's being worked on. She gets sucked up into the moon pyramid device. The rest of the German workers are like freaking out, being like, oh my God. And she won't come out because she's scared and she's pissed off that Richtofen tried to kill her dog and her dad. I mean, as one would be, right? So Richtofen, he teleports himself to the moon to investigate the situation, and he sees what's going on, and he like rolls his eyes and is like, bro, are you freaking kidding me? He can't convince Samantha to leave the MPD. He finds a way to transport Maxis back from the crazy place, and then demands that Maxis get his daughter out of the moon pyramid device. He's like, yo, get your daughter out of this. This is not cool, and just let me kill you, right? Definitely a reasonable request. Let's take a step back and set the stage for one of the most climactic moments in all of zombies. And that's not really an understatement either. Richtofen, Tank, Nikolai, and Takio, the four of their souls have been bound together, so they are now connected across space and time. Samantha is stuck inside of the moon pyramid device. Her father, Maxis, is standing next to the device talking to her, and Richtofen is demanding that Maxis get his daughter out of the moon pyramid device. Instead of Maxis telling Samantha to get out of the moon pyramid device, Maxis tells Samantha to kill them all. That's right. He tells Samantha to kill them all. Maxis then offs himself, and then his spirit goes back to the crazy place where he was before. Samantha is then driven mad because her father just offed himself. Richtofen tried to kill her and her father and her dog. As Samantha descends deeper into the moon pyramid device, she now assumes control of the zombies, and she has commanded the zombies to kill everybody, especially Richtofen. The zombies that we're fighting right now are literally being controlled by Samantha. Their eyes are all yellow, and whenever we get drops, like an insta-kill or a double points, there's a commentator that, creepily says what you're getting. That voice is actually Samantha. She exists in... Okay, perfect timing. Look, that's a double points. So that was Samantha speaking. So everybody's panicking. Everybody in the moon base is just getting annihilated by zombies. Ouch. And Richtofen, he's like, oh, he really messed up. The controller and leader of the zombies now wants him specifically dead. The other three are also bound to Richtofen, so she doesn't really like them either. Richtofen teleports himself back to his headquarter facilities known as Riese, and he really, really needs help. He's like, okay, I'm kind of screwed here, but I think I can maybe come up with a plan. So what he does is he recruits Tank, Nikolai, and Takio, and he convinces them to help him with his plan. And because, if you remember, their minds are completely broken, they have no memory of anything, and they're just shells of who they are, they not so reluctantly agree. They're just kind of like, you know what? I still know how to fight because we're all soldiers, but beyond that, that's kind of all I know. Finally, after all of that, that brings us here to Shi No Numa. If you were to be playing with 4 people, normally you would have all 4 of the characters rather than just one. Obviously we don't, so right now I'm just playing as one character, and that character just happens to be Tank. All of that information gets us to Shi No Numa is as follows. Richtofen, if you remember, he's been writing down his thoughts, his visions, his ideas, and his crazy obsessions in his journal. In his journal, he has notes about how he can possibly take control of the zombies himself. However, that journal is here at the Rising Sun facility. So the 4 of them, Ultimis, teleport from Riese here to Shi No Numa. And the point of this map is that we are searching this facility for Richtofen's journal. And that's it. That's a lot of information, I know. But it all kind of makes sense, I hope. And if it doesn't, well, we're going to do a quick little recap right now. The 4 main characters, Tank, Nikolai, Takio, and Richtofen, their souls are bound together through Element 115 technology. Richtofen experiments on his other three what's that word? Compadres? He experiments on the other three guys, and it eventually breaks their minds to the point where they become shells of human beings. Richtofen, at some point in his work, gets teleported to the moon, and on that moon, he runs into an ancient Agarthan device, and that device essentially drives him completely mad. He scribbles his mad obsessions with Agartha and technology and the zombies in a diary, and he keeps that diary close to him, just not close enough apparently. So Richtofen tries to kill Maxis, and he tries to kill Maxis by manipulating his daughter and his daughter's dog into a teleporter to teleport them to Oblivion. He somewhat succeeds by sending Fluffy the dog into Oblivion, Samantha to the moon, and Maxis to a place called the Crazy Place. Samantha, being on the moon, gets stuck inside of the moon pyramid device and won't come out. Richtofen then demands that Maxis get his daughter out of the moon pyramid device. And instead of doing so, he tells Samantha to kill everyone. And then Samantha now controls the zombies and is trying to kill Richtofen. Richtofen transports back to Riese, recruits Tank, Nikolai, and Takio, and says, guys, I need your help. They agree because their minds are broken, and they travel to Shi No Numa, where we are searching for Richtofen's diary. Inside that diary, Richtofen has the keys and the hopes and the plan to hopefully beat Samantha and take over the zombies for himself. Oop, oop! That was a close one. Dude, reload the gun. Oh, no. That is so unfortunate. I thought I could sneak through. Wow. Well, I don't know if that's good timing or not, honestly. That starts the official storyline, guys. I mean, that brings us to the present. We're trying to find the journal. And in that journal is what's dubbed as Richtofen's ultimate scheme. And from here on out, to a reasonable degree, the information between maps and the storyline and contextual information in between maps is pretty close and cohesive. It's not like we're going to be spending an hour or 3 hours or whatever discussing only background information. That's not going to be the case in, for most of the rest of this journey. I'm sorry if that was kind of a lot of information, guys, but that is it. I really enjoy this storyline. I really enjoy talking about it, if you couldn't tell. I really enjoy playing this game as well. I've been playing a lot recently off camera, and I don't know if that's shown. I would kind of be tempted to go back to Verrucht and see how high of a round I can get, because that was an embarrassment to mankind. The map, not my gameplay. If you guys want to see me try to tackle Verrucht again and show it who's boss, let me know. I'd be willing to, play that map again, maybe go for a semi-high round or something like that. I don't think I'm going to go for a high round on this map right now, just because there was so much to talk about. I don't necessarily need to drag out this map longer than it needs to be. So the Wonderwaff, which you guys also saw, plays a pretty major role in the storyline for next map, Riese. If you guys know the storyline and you know it really, really well, talk to me in the comments if I forgot any major information. Just remember that this is supposed to be a layman's introduction, not super detailed walkthrough of the storyline. We're not trying to give people headaches or anything like that. And also, let me know if you guys want to see any other videos, other themed videos. I have things that are recorded, and I just need to work on those that are not part of the Aether storyline. But if you guys have any other ideas, just let me know, and we can talk about it. I'm going to try to finish out this round knifing only. And yes, I'm going to cheese the insta-kill. Here, let's see if I can do this. Thank you guys for watching.